So this one is a first for me. I was actually sent a review code for this game early by the developer. Yeah, apparently they saw my Old Skies review and liked it enough to offer me the chance to try out their game early. So here I am, and boy is this game certainly interesting. It's another adventure game, and another time travel game at that. Except unlike Old Skies, this one is notably far more unsettling than your standard adventure game. I don't really have much else to comment on that doesn't go into the details of later in the video, so let's just get right into it, shall we? This is Decade. So as far as presentation goes, yeah, this game creeps the shit out of me, and I'm fairly certain that's intentional. The game, both visually and audibly, feel like they're treading the same kind of surrealist ground as Cruelty Squad, just without the absolute assault on the senses that Cruelty Squad offers. The presentation is a lot more subtle here, if that's the right word. Unsettling ambient music tracks, backgrounds that warp and shift, creepy looking era icons, and those faces. Those faces scare me more than anything else in this game, if I'm being honest. It's all just so uncanny, which, again, not necessarily a bad thing. It sets the tone really well, and this game is about the futility of one's own actions in attempting to avoid a horrific apocalyptic fate, as well as other ideas like how it feels for time travelers to age, and especially when you're not the time traveler and everyone else is, and all this other stuff. And you know what, before I get too deep into that tangent, let's just move straight into the story. As previously mentioned, we're dealing with another time travel story. In this one, you start out in a post-apocalypse. The world has been utterly destroyed by what's described as metal rain, pelting the earth for seemingly years on end, effectively eliminating any chance for life to grow on the planet's surface. You play the role of a 17-year-old kid leading 3 other younger kids who have managed to survive and make their way into a bunker buried deep inside of a mountain. As it turns out, that bunker doubles as a time machine, giving you the ability to send people back to different eras of history and then pull them back to the present after 10 years have passed from their side. Hence the title. With this knowledge in hand, you devise a plan. Send the 3 children back to various points in time and learn everything you can about the series of events that led to the metal rain and, in turn, how you can divert that course in such a way as to create a livable future for you and humanity. Along the way, you'll encounter a variety of societies led by different ways of thinking and different influential individuals, all things that you have to learn to navigate if you want to influence history in a non-disastrous direction. It's all very existential and philosophical and stuff like that. Believe me, if you're a philosophy or an English major, you're gonna love this game. But speaking of, how exactly do you navigate all these time travel shenanigans? Decade cuts out the middleman as far as most adventure games go. Where most adventure games will simply become a traditional point-and-click game like Old Skies or Elroy and the Aliens, exploring the environment, solving puzzles, interacting with NPCs, etc. Here, the most you can do is pick one of the 3 children you have with you, and send them to a specific time period with any combination of item, objective, and topic of the objective. Once you've done that, all you can do is send them off and hope that you've chosen well and have the intended impact, if any at all. Usually, however, you won't. Usually, you'll just get a new series of events that leads to a new, equally apocalyptic timeline. Joy. Even if humanity survives in the end, it might be in some twisted form. But how do you avoid this? You try your best to examine what the children have learned from each time period, studying the intricacies of the various ideological factions attempting to steer humanity and the important individuals within them. In doing so, you can then send the children back again to learn from, subvert, assist, or even kill the given subject in an attempt to change history. Sounds simple, right? Well, every time you do this, the child you send back gets a decade older, meaning you have only a set number of times to try before everyone just dies of old age and leaves you all alone. Plus, they'll keep coming back with new sets of traits based on the eras they return from and the conversations you have with them, making them more or less capable in certain eras or objectives than others. Sending a child back to a period of immense violence will make them a more violent person. Who knew? All of this creates a sort of management system where you're trying to both solve the problem of the world being destroyed, as well as maintain the mental faculties of the 3 children as they get older, ask more questions, and begin to wonder if any of this effort is even really worth it. Because for them, decades of their lives are passing by, whereas for you, it's all the same day, effectively. It's a pretty good weaving of story, themes, and gameplay into each other, creating something that I could imagine some other YouTuber would create a deep dive video essay on at some point down the line. You know, something like the disturbing lore of the decade or whatever. However, this gameplay definitely isn't for everyone. For one, if you click a little too much trying to skip through certain samey dialogues or screens, the game might just crash sometimes. And the way the game handles full screen and windowed modes isn't the most intuitive, but it works for what it is. However, if you don't like reading, this game is probably not going to be for you. This game is slow and wants you to think through every little detail before taking any action. And really, that's the general takeaway from my experience with this game. It's a very interesting, very thoughtful, very creative game that's trying to put a special little spin on the time travel genre by questioning the philosophy of using time travel itself to solve something as monumental as total annihilation, and how that affects the mental states of its users, among other things, of course. But at the same time, the gameplay loop is relatively simple and can become predictable. Dedicate enough time and you can chart out exactly how to get every ending in every possible way, since there appears to be no RNG involved. The results will always be the same. Decade definitely has its niche though. It's just a matter of those people finding it. So who knows, hopefully my video will help with that. This has been TheRatMan, and I will see you all later. And lastly, a special thank you shout out to Mike Uniturtle, Scarlet, Reese, and a 2-room apartment in Babyrusk, Belarus. Thank you for the $5.